This is episode 21.5 of Studio Practice. This is my first attempt at a comment response video. It's in relationship to episode 21, entitled How to Make a Formalist Avant-Garde Design Art Object. I received some absolutely excellent comments, and I thought I might respond. One of the great comments this week was from $1 Million Extreme. I'd encourage you to read the entire comment in the comment section from episode 21. MDE characterized the typical artist as having a kindergartner's understanding of economics, being a net drain on society, consuming more resources in the form of welfare money from parents, subsidized education, etc., than they give back in any form. And politically, they just parrot safe, accepted, established views. Poverty is bad, no shit. Racism is really bad, etc., which you can easily get by turning the TV on. That they typically suffer from sociopathic levels of narcissism, solipsism. But that's only tangential to my question. There's some more there, but MDE goes on to state, and I quote, "But this idea that artists are at the forefront of cultural change, I think it's mostly bullshit. I think cultural change is a battle between those powers that be, who have captured nearly all of academia, entertainment, and the media, and kulaks. On top of that, people pay some degree of attention to what celebrities and high-profile activists say, but not artists or their work. When was the last time there was an artist you could point to and go, that guy's had a huge, tangible impact on culture? Warhol? Sure, he had an impact on culture, but he sucked, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to point out any good he did for the problems of his age, aside from making everything more like the movie Party Monster."
Standing up and I'm telling you, I am Warhol. I am the number one most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh.
He goes on to state, "I don't think artists are any better equipped to address in a meaningful way the problems of our age, cultural or otherwise. In fact, I think the opposite is true. And I think that encouraging artists to take on this level of responsibility is not good. Thoughts? ? Okay, MDE, your question at its core seems to cut to a criticism of the artist as largely irrelevant and powerless in 2016 to contend with the madness of our age. As a gross generalization, I wholeheartedly agree with you. However, if you look more closely at the position that I have advocated and that I've spoken passionately about, I have advocated for a hybrid model of artistic practice that addresses many of the issues, I believe, that you raise. The hybrid model that I have spoken about is one that fights tirelessly against the malevolent forces of institutionalized stupidity. Artists as a whole have been rendered impotent in 2016. And look, man, I absolutely loathe falling back on platitudes to answer a question, but there is one that I can think of that seems to be inherently true, and it's Margaret Mead's quote that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. I also received a great comment from Max Springer on my Instagram account. If you're not following me on Instagram, not to hit you with a shameless plug, but follow me at Elliott Earls on Instagram.com. But Max Springer wrote, "The context above the couch is one of the most conventional contexts to consider when orienting your art practice. What's much more interesting is what's going on below the couch. Metaphorically speaking, art directly engaged in life. You're dividing art into two categories, but you're limiting your definition of art to formalism. I'd be more interested in a discussion of what a practice would look like built around art in the drawer, art in the walls, art under the floor, art on the flagpole. What social importance is there to art on the wall beyond artist sustenance? In my opinion, the inherent limitations outweigh the short-term benefits." And Max and I think, had a interesting exchange that I would encourage you to read again on the Instagram post. I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding. The episode 21, I believe, goes to great lengths to actually state something quite similar. However, I believe the fundamental difference is I stated I leaned into the camera and stated unequivocally that the most important type of work that an artist or a designer or a hybrid could do is the work that is intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, strategically, and culturally challenging. I stated that with emphasis. I even cut the music. However, and this is where I may differ from Max's opinion, is that I believe also that it is critically important for the cultural producer to figure out an independent method of producing the work. Canvases don't magically appear from an empty wallet. Social practices demand resources. I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly believe that the artist and the designer should be able to sustain a vibrant practice based on their work. Now, you could level charges of hypocrisy against me and say, that's awful easy for you to say, Elliott. You're the head of a graduate program. Isn't that where you're getting your money from? Yes and no. For further clarification, I would suggest that you look at episode 10 of my studio practice series entitled Problematic Work is Your Responsibility. Duvall asked me to elaborate on point number 3 from the video. Point number 3 is the idea that appropriation as a strategy, regardless of the fact that it is extremely contemporary and postmodern, must serve an aggressive economic function and must not be used solely to build familiarity into the object. It's my belief that the operative process, the operative structure of the formalist avant-garde design art object is the process of defamiliarization. In Russian formalism, the artist or designer is one who makes the familiar strange and the strange familiar. My point is that appropriation should be used as a form of cultural rejection, not to make the work under consideration more palatable or more familiar. Many of these answers really require yet another video to fully articulate the position that I'm getting at. I really do appreciate the input. The questions and comments have been really fucking fabulous. So please don't hesitate to post in the comment section. I can't answer everything, but I will try to do this more often.